You just started learning Next.js and suddenly all the courses and tutorials online became outdated. Well, not completely. Today I'm showing you all the changes that you need to know to get started in Next.js version 13. First, let's talk about the completely different routing system. Yes, you heard me right. Next.js does not use the pages directory anymore. Instead, it's using the app directory. Don't worry, we'll talk about that later. Also, get server-side props, get static props, etc. is no longer supported in Next 13. But that doesn't mean they're not gonna work. If you have a project that contains them, even if you want to use them now, they will work just fine. Also, one of the main features that Next 13 provides is the React server component. As Versal team says, with server components, we're laying the foundation to build complex interfaces while reducing the amount of JavaScript sent to the client, enabling faster initial page loads. But what does that mean? Well, that means you can write components, and those components will automatically run in the server side without impacting the client, except if you specify that this component is for the client side. I'll show you how in a second. Also, Next 13 came up with a new powerful way to fetch data and handle promises inside components. Also, I'll show it to you in a second. Now, we can understand one important thing, and that is Next 13's main features is fetching data inside components and sending less JavaScript to the client. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's open our VS Code and start by implementing the stuff we learned. First, the only way to create the next app is by running the npx create next app command and choose the directory. But since I want it with Tailwind CSS, I will type /e with Tailwind CSS. Oh, okay. Now that our app is created, and what the is this? As we can see, the pages directory is still here. Did Versal scam us or something? Well, no, that's because Next 13 is still a beta version. But if you wanted to use the Next 13 major features, run the app using the command npm run dev. Now that your application is working, it's time to upgrade the app. Stop the application and create a new folder called app. Then go to your next config file and write experimental appdir equals to true and run your application again. Immediately, you will notice that actually nothing happens. And that's exactly what we want. Now, there is an important thing to be aware of. If you're using Tailwind alongside with Next, you need to go to the tailwind.config file and add the new app directory. Now, to write your first page, you need to know a few more steps. First, create a page.tsx file in your app directory. This is similar to index.tsx in Next 12. After that, if Next.js didn't generate the layout.tsx file for you, create a file called layout.tsx. Then head off to the official documentation, you'll find the link in the description, and copy the content and paste it there. Now, this file is responsible for rendering your page.tsx file. Now, a very important note to know, you need to import the Tailwind CSS in your layout file so it can work. Now, what about the data fetching? Well, let me show you. Let's create a folder called posts and a file called page inside of it. Remember, this is your index. Create a typing file for your type definition. Now, we can easily fetch the data directly into the component. Create a file called posts_list.tsx. Create the fetching function. Give the type definition and return the data. Now, create the UI component and extract the users from the fetching component and map over them. Now, head to localhost 3000/posts and you will see nothing. That's because we forgot to import the UI component inside the page file. Head to pages.tsx and import the component. You will notice there is a bug. Don't worry, this time it's not your fault, it's Versal's. Just type tsignore and comment it. Here we go. But as we already know, these components are all server-side. What if we want to specify a component in the client side? Well, there is two ways. The first one is creating a components folder outside the app directory and create the component inside of it. This will automatically make the components inside of it client side. The second way of doing this is to keep the component inside the app directory. But in the beginning, you'll have to write use client, and that will make the component client side. Now, let's learn how to create a dynamic row. I will extract the ID from the URL that I navigate to. Create a folder called posts inside of square brackets. Inside of it, create a page.tsx file. Create your functional component. Now create your type definition and extract the ID from the params. Make sure it's the same as the folder's name. Pass the post ID to the component and you're good to go. And that's it. I covered most of the important subjects in this video. If you want a more detailed explanation, I'll have a link in the description for the official documentation. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.